world go round. Melodies just don't seem right in this place.
Yo, welcome back. And tonight is very special. It's the grand finals of this time's CBL. And this is Brad. And today I will be with Josh. And Josh, say hi to our audience.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. So tonight is pretty special. It's finally we are in the finals, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's going to come down to between the two best teams that we've seen this tournament. Obviously, being CNC, they've been in impeccable form so far, only dropping one game the entire tournament, and then versing up against BBJT, who are the team that took that one game off them. So, really interesting competition here between the two teams.
Yeah. So CNC, BPJT, and CNC absolutely they just like from the upper team, and they win all matches. And the BPJT actually from the lower bracket. So they fall back to the finals, and they're all in a way. So must be tonight. They just wanna claim their very first champion. And for CNC, it's if they win it, and they'll be like their seventh champion.
Yeah, that's it. Going for quite a legacy with their seventh consecutive win if they are able to actually pull this off. Versus the side of BBJT, we obviously saw them, like you mentioned, go down into that lower bracket after their match against CNC. An important thing to note is they haven't really dropped a single series apart from that. So aside from CNC, they've taken out all the rest of the competition pretty handily.
Yeah. So tonight, just BPJT actually is their first time in the finals. So CNC just like facing their new opponents. So this must be also a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a familiar situation for them, at least, knowing that they've been in the finals, just obviously not for the Asia CBL, but they've been there for the NetEase or the Chinese mainland version of the game. They've been in those finals before, so familiar territory, just not quite the home ground advantage that CNC has in this matchup.
Yeah. So from the map ban pick, yeah, let's talk about the map ban pick first. The map ban pick actually, it's quite like strange that rare to see actually. The CNC they picked the Kra Castle, and the same for BPJT. And actually, this map just like was banned in the past games. It's rare to see this map.
Yeah, that's it. It really does seem like a little bit of a mind game here. CNC banned Harbour City, which we all know is their favorite map when it comes down to those clutch matches. But as we saw from BBJT, they're no slouch on the map either. It's obviously a map that they've rehearsed a lot, and they're very, very good at as well. So then being able to take out that map for both themselves and BBJT has forced this mirror match on Kurek, which I don't think we've seen a single time actually with a mirror match on this map. I don't think we've seen either one of these teams even play on the map. So a lot of cool new stuff to see here with the way that the map has changed in that more open-ended final point now. We'll have to see how the teams plan on utilizing it.
Yeah. So yeah, actually very happy to see a new map here. And tonight, actually, the game is no longer best of 5 or best of 3. Tonight's game gonna be best of 7, but like according to the rules, CNC is from the upper bracket, so they will like start the game like 1-2-0. They're leading 1 point in the game, and for them, they just need to like win 3 games. They can win the whole series, and they can win the title. And for BPJT, if they want to win this match, they have to win like 4 games. So yeah, that is a little bit different for the rules.
Yeah, scary prospect there for BPJT, as it is hard to take 1 game, let alone 4 off of CNC. But CNC have obviously learned, this placement in the higher bracket, making sure they guarantee that first win on their behalf.
Yeah, yes. So actually, like in the past, in the previous CBLs, CNC always like took this kind of lead in the finals, and for this kind of team, like super strong and a kind of monster in CBL, for BPJT it must be a huge challenge because like CNC already lead 1 point in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's a very daunting task for them, but we'll see if they're up for it here. As we see, actually, out of the unit bans, there's quite a few interesting picks here as well. On the side of CNC, they've obviously taken out the Chevaliers. Those have been an issue unit for CNC so far, as they don't particularly like versing them, don't particularly like using them too much either. And the one loss they did have was basically almost entirely accredited to that unit being used. But not only that, they've opted into knocking out the Martellatore and the Martellatore, which are both essentially really important for those siege towers. Martello Torre on the side of the attacker's side is able to shut down a lot of that defensive artillery on the walls for pretty cheap, as well as stop any kind of return fire coming through. As we see, there's a lot of thin walls when it comes to this map. And obviously the siege towers are going to have a lot harder of a time reaching the walls without that 30% defense bonus.
Yes. So ban Martello Torre, it will be like very helpful for them to pushing siege towers and get to the walls, and also because like we know since they are pretty good at using champs at the early game, so yeah, they just like ban this kind of unit. It will be also huge help for their pushing siege tower.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll almost be interesting to see if they opt into the same kind of strategies they did with their first attack on Harbour when they banned these exact units as well, where they kind of abandoned the siege tower pushing. They just went for an underground push straight through the gatehouse to test the supplies, as that's obviously an option here as well on this map, as that close supply on the right-hand side after the A point is pretty open to attack and pretty hard to defend if you're not actually set up and ready for it.
Yeah, I'm quite. Actually, I'm kind of curious how CNC gonna play on this map, because like I don't remember I saw them play on this map before, so it must be pretty interesting. Watch that.
Yeah, from personal experience, this was actually the first map I ever versed CNC myself on when we did scrims with them, and that was back before all the changes, obviously, and there were monsters on this map back then. So we'll have to see how they have adapted to the new way the map's open here, as I kind of expect a lot of Liaos actually coming out here, would be my guess when it comes to this map. Obviously, they're open right now. A lot of the answers for them are still open, with Modal and Fortebraccio still being available. But they are still a great pick regardless as we get ready for this game.
Yes, let's take a look at those unit compositions. Yeah. So the first game, the Sensei will be the attackers and BPJT will be the defender.
Yeah, and interestingly here actually, I don't see, I think, a single Liao on either side right now. Seems like I might have been a little bit off for the expectations there, but we see a lot of tier 4 infantry coming out on both sides really. It seems like both teams have identified that that's really important for this map. A lot of claymores for the side of CNC, which I love to see as well. It's super interesting here. Actually, a few of them getting swapped out last second, so I have to eat my words as they've swapped in for the Mamillions there.
Yeah, and we noticed that from the lineup, like we can see the CNC, they brought like 5 squads of low tier units. And actually in the past, like I noticed that CNC they will use like some high tier units to push their siege towers. But for this game, it seems like CNC they are like preparing to use those low tier units to do something.
Yeah, knowing that this map does have quite a few siege towers on it, being the 3, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see them just pushing the siege towers here, essentially trying to buy time. Because I'm assuming they're expecting their siege towers not to actually make it on first rotation, having those white units there to throw away, essentially. It's really, really important.
So now the game's on, the very first game of tonight's grand finals. And yeah, tonight's finals, let me introduce the rules again. This is gonna be the best of 7. And CNC is from the upper bracket, so they will have like a 1 point lead at the beginning of the game. And if they want to win the game, they have to win 3 more games. And for BPJT, because they're from the lower bracket, so if they want to win this round, win this match, they have to win like 4 games. So CNC also, this if they win the game, they're gonna be the 7th championship for them, and the BPJT, if they win, it's gonna be the very first title, and for them, this is gonna be a huge challenge for them, because like they are facing the very strong team CNC.
Not only a historically strong team, but a team that's had a stellar performance so far in this tournament. They've been pretty much unstoppable on most of their attacks and defenses. Even on maps where you traditionally see attacker side favored with Harbour City, they're able to pull off a lot of victories on the defending side, which is pretty stellar.
Yeah, now we can say Sensei is trying to pushing their siege towers forward, mount on the lander on the walls, And now the left siege tower actually is kind of very close to land on the walls. Yeah, I think it will make it very soon.
You can see a lot of pressure coming out from CNC with a lot of them climbing up these walls early. We actually just saw the first blood fall on the side of CNC dying there as a hammer snuck up the back wall and unfortunately get caught. But it seems like we've got a longsword back here now doing the same option, trying to poke for any kind of scouting that they can get, making sure they actually know what BBJT have in store of these walls.
Yeah, and also now the seems like only one his tower successfully made. So CNC still will take some time to wait for a much more good opportunity to come on in. And we can see that they have already used the 5 champs at the very beginning of the game. So they just like won't save anything if they think like this is gonna be very effective, gonna be helpful for their game. They will just like use it.
Yeah, and as we see here, there's a lot of threat of these mortars being set up by CNC. Is obviously there's already 11 now artillery being placed by the defender side of BBJT. They've invested very, very heavily on early. So it's quite scary for them, the fact that every single siege tower but one on that right-hand side actually made it up. We see a lot of people over here gearing up for a B-side push with those banner guards in position, so that hero can give the utility to his team shortly.
Yeah, you are right. Because like, I think this is a difference between daily matchmaking. Because like in daily matchmaking, I will like save my artilleries. For me myself, I will do that. Like save it for killing people and do some damage for my KDA. Yeah, but for like the CBL games and teams, they are just like all about teamwork. So they will just like set up mortars at the beginning of the game to make sure they can do something to help the team. And I think it's really beautiful. Like the people know what to do, and they just work together to like present the best performance on the stage.
Yeah, it really is something that sets the teams apart when it comes to the better teams from the newer teams that often struggle against them. Is the cohesion that a lot of these high tier teams actually do have in placing their artillery to support each other. You can see here they're just posturing up on the B point. They might not even push this. What they are doing is they're pulling enough of BBJT over here that they continuously shell them. They've now even got a great trap coming in that's going to land flush.
Yeah.
And they're able to put that kind of pressure down that isn't really reciprocated from the defender side, as they already invested a lot of their own artillery early on.
Yeah. So for the game, actually, it's all about giving pressure to your enemies. If they just cannot like deal with it well, so you will have a greater chance to win the game. And all the things that CNC have done for so far is pretty good. And they have already pushed the 3 siege towers. It's already all of them are mounted. So I think now the next step, they're preparing for the very first wave of attack land on the wall.
Yeah, that's it. As they're kind of cresting this hill here, you can see they've got a lot of their shield units ready to go. They're trying to present a pretty big front line here for those Shenji that are eventually going to come back up that siege tower, try to contest this point.
Yeah. Well, we can see like there's those defenders like from BBJT. They're still on the wall. They didn't like intend to give up that point.
Yeah, but at the same time here, we see a massive push coming over on that A side from CNC. They're able to actually get an opportunity here where there's little to no units actually guarding this. There's only really that unit of loyal set up in position. And they're going to fold pretty quickly when it comes down to these 8 units of CNC putting the pressure onto the A point.
Yeah. And CNC now is entering the point A. So BBJT, not so many defender actually like still around those points. So if CNC is starting taking over this point, but more defenders actually from the right side, they're coming to try to like wave in to stop the capturing there. But CNC players already preparing for that, so it's kind of difficult to get approach to point A now.
Not only that, but the unit composition that CNC has brought here over on this left-hand side towards the B point is actually very, very smart. They brought a lot of those shield units because when they essentially pushed for that A point, they knew BBJT would reciprocate and try to push them out of B. And all they've done there is they pinned them down there. They used a few more of their artillery shots. They used their trebuchets. And they actually traded pretty damn efficiently for themselves in a losing exchange, where now the A point is actually very, very hard to recapture on the side of BBJT. They might be actually overextending here, putting themselves at risk in the face of CNC's suppression.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, like all moves by CNC so far, it's pretty good. But I think at BPJT they are trying to figure it out, and they just want to get back to the point A. And personally, I don't think that is a very good choice, because like I think they should like put more pay more close attention to the other points, because like the point A, they just like sacrifice too many units there.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, but when they don't have the artillery to place, you'll see here CNC will opt into using a lot of those grape shots and ballistas on this staircase.
Yeah.
Have the unit of Fortebraccia up there, it's almost impossible to push in without the loyals being escorted, and they really can't be at this point.
Yeah, so for now the battle is still happening around the point A, only one step away to take over that point, and the battle continues.
And we'll continue to see a lot of pressure here, actually. A really good play coming out of the Nodachi there inside of BBJT, able to actually pick off a couple of those artillery safely, and then get back out. It's now diving another one. Oh, sorry, another two. So a huge amount of damage done by him, knocking down 2 of those artillery pieces.
Yeah. So Sensei...
Sorry, actually, the third.
Yeah. Sensei will be back again. Oh, okay, now this is like a 1 versus 3. And this player is, yeah, there is showcase himself, try to avoid being killed.
You can see here, even from CNC on the side of them as well, they're kind of probing this front gate center unit of their Fenrir pack through just to see what was there. The BBJT are obviously very heavily invested over here on the side of A now, as they're only sending 1 person back to deal with that longsword, who has been capturing the B point free.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that this guy is still alive.
He has done well for himself on that longsword pick.
I thought he was trolling, but yeah, he did it quite well. Just like so many enemies still can escape from that and they're still alive. Okay, now here comes the second wave of attack on the wall. And the Sensei players just like regroup up and get back to the stage here.
Yeah, and this is usually a pretty bad position for CNC to be caught in when they're coming up this one siege tower. But you can see from the other side now, they're pouring through there with some pretty mobile units on the Berserkers and Halberds actually coming through with the Pike here supporting. So it's actually going to be a pretty favourable trade for them, even setting up a couple of artillery in that siege tower, making sure that it goes smoothly on the right-hand side as well.
Yes. So, yeah, for now, I think like the point A seems like gonna be the turning point for the whole game. Because like both sides, they just sacrifice too many things on the point. And for now, Sensei just have no choice, because like time is talking. So they have to take over that point as soon as possible. And for defenders, they know if they can defend that point, they win the game. That is super simple. So they will just like sacrifice anything on it, bet everything on that, and then try to stop Sensei capturing that.
Yeah, and a really important factor here is the fact that the CNC member is actually stopping that defensive artillery has come on with his longsword pick again. He's now going to go pressure that B point, try and pull that spear player over. Yeah. But he's done a fantastic job of just essentially upsetting the defenses that BBJD have. That mortar was doing a lot of damage for them.
Yeah. 11 heroes from Sensei still alive, 8 heroes from the defender still alive. But for now, we can say the point B is taken by the Sensei. But seems like it got stopped by the BPJT team, and the point A is still not available to take. So the game must be now it's pretty difficult for CNC, and more defenders still there.
It very much is on a race's edge at the moment. We do see the side of B will win eventually. It's just a matter of if he can kill this pipe quick enough with those monastics supporting him. And on the A point, obviously, the fight is really, really dire there. CNC have a lot of heroes alive, but not a whole lot of units present.
Yeah. Okay, if Sensei lost this game, this will be super rare to say that Sensei lost a map that one playing as the attackers. Because in the past, you know that one playing against one playing as the attackers, Sensei almost can win all games. That is super rare to say.
Yeah, as he has now cleared up the B point, but it is too little too late. It looks like BBJT have clutched it up.
Yeah, it's too late. So yeah, congratulations to BPJT. They win the very first game when facing against the CNC. Now the game is tied 1-1. And the MP from CNC is Ahan. He got 3 kills, 2 deaths, 7 assists, and killed 115 troops in the game.
Yeah, a lot of those Reapers off as well there is a really important feat, as they were the main DPS that was being brought on the side of BBJT when it came to those wall fights.
Yeah.
Just something to note as well, I noticed here we actually had a DLC from the side of CNC, which I actually missed. So I feel like that definitely would have factored in quite a bit there, as it was an incredibly close game.
Yeah. The game is super close, and the MP from BPJT is Xiaoka Elk. He got 3 kills, 2 deaths, 9 assists, and killed 100 troops in the game.
Yeah, doing really well for himself here, obviously, as well. He's cleaned up a lot of those filler blue halberds we've talked about many times being a really important component of any team's comp when they're not banned, obviously. As well as the Shenji Grenadiers, which were the way that CNC was planning to get onto those points, so eliminating them is really important.
Yeah. But I have to say this game is super close. This game is a very, very close game. And it's been quite a long time I haven't seen a match that's so tight, one having CNC in it. Because like CNC always just like win the enemy like 3-0, 2-0, those kind of things. Yeah, but for now the game is tied 1-1. I hope this time BPJT they can like just like take the crown and be the new champion for CBL, and it must be pretty interesting for for CNC, because like yeah, I think for now 6 champions. For me, I will feel like a little bit tired, but lost the 1 game sometimes is not a bad thing, because like for those champion team, it's just to remind them that the challenge is still there. You have to be like aware of it and prepare for that, and make the game be more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking away a few things from that game, it really did seem like CNC kind of dropped the ball a little bit on contesting that back supply. The reason why BBJT were actually able to come back and clean up those fights so often is they were just going back and restocking over and over again. Not having somebody there to step on the point was really important for the side of CNC, and obviously didn't happen. Something I would have liked to see is maybe that longsword player who did do a great job over MP almost got the cap himself.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have been better served actually going straight into that supply and cutting off their reinforcements though. Or even maybe we saw obviously the very, very clutch plays coming out from the bike player on BBJT, able to stall it out for just long enough that his team secured the win there on the B point. Maybe when he saw that that was being the case, maybe he just had to pull the cord and leave at that point as well. It seemed like that really was the one thing that held them back there on that attack.
Yeah. But actually in this map, CNC also did a kind of extra effort on the point B. They noticed that the point A is not that easy to take, so they assigned 1 people to go to the point B and try to take over that point. Sorry, I noticed that the comment said asked that is that 1-0 to BPJT. No, actually no. Like I mentioned before, CNC is a team from the upper bracket. BPJT is from the lower bracket. So for CNC, they're starting the game like 1-0. They're leading the point, 1 point at the beginning of the game. So after the first game, so the score will be like 1-1. So yeah, actually it's not 1-0. It's a best of 7. Yeah. We still have like 5 more games. Yeah. Tonight's gonna be eye feasting. We can watch a lot of beautiful games tonight.
Yeah, that's it. Especially if the competition is as fierce as this first game was. Can only hope for more close competition like that between 2 of these excellent teams.
Yeah. So the second map is gonna be the Crack Castle again. Yeah. So CNC will be the defender first, because like this game actually is my first time I saw CNC on that map, and they lost it. So I hope yeah. I'm kind of curious how they're gonna play as the defender on this map. Do you have any advice for playing on this map for both defenders and attackers on daily matchmaking? Because I think your experience must be pretty helpful for me and also our audience to know that.
Yeah, so on the attack, I feel like is the more easier side to execute. Like I mentioned, CNC did just about everything right. But the fact that BBJT were able to recontest the supply and make sure they had constant streams of new units coming up basically won them that fight pretty handily in most of the times when they went for that recapture. We saw, I think, 2 or 3 times CNC was pushed off the A point, despite the initial fight going better for them. So making sure you have one person sitting there, or even a second person ready to go if he does get taken down, able to stop that supply means you're able to stop upwards of 5 or 6 units we saw fresh coming into every single fight. It's really, really important on the attacker side for those first 2 points. And on the defender side, making sure you're not over-committing to one side of the wall is incredibly important. We saw there from BBJT, the way they played that is they played the close sides of both A and B point. So the way that CNC had to push in was obviously on the extreme sides, and what that means is the once BBJT was able to mop up that B side push, they could actually retrack their way back over to the A point quicker than they would have otherwise been able to do. And not only that, but if they decide to pull out of that B side entirely, it means they only need to sacrifice 1 unit rather than trying to run through a full stacked wave.
Yeah. Yeah. And sorry again. And about the comments, people asking about like the score. The score is 1-1. Yeah, again 1-1. And sorry we didn't present it on the screen. I will try to ask our director if we can like show the score on the screen to make people like clearly understand that.
Yeah. So going into the second game, is there anything you kind of expect to see or would even just like to see out of both these teams coming in from this map that we obviously haven't seen a lot of?
Okay, later on we'll show the score on the screen about like how the game goes. So yeah, well, you'll see the score very soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah, this must be it must be pretty clear. So guys, if you have any feedback about the stream and about like what kind of information you want to know, you can just tell us just about CBL. And I will say if we can do that and try to help you guys. And for now, 2 teams already in the room. So strange voice. Yeah, strange voice, kind of metallic. You mean my voice or Josh's voice?
While we wait for him to get back to us on that one. Is there any kind of units that you have that are your favorite spread, actually? Seeing them brought into this game that you'd like to see? I know for myself, I obviously love the flamethrowers, but they're banned away. Is there anything that you actually prefer for your favorite units?
I mean, like, Berserker is my favorite unit. Because I just kind of, enjoy the vibe very much that they brought to me. Just like, okay, only 8, just like 8 of us, but that's fine. We can do something big. So just like go into the battles and fight and just like making myself into another zone, and I'd be much more stronger and then turn just again and again. Now the feeling is kind of good. Just kind of for Berserk, it's just kind of rewarding for me when playing the game, and making me like feels like myself is a hero. I don't have an army, but only with few people I can fight against those huge armies. That feeling is pretty good.
It's a cool point you bring up. Not only that, but the fact that when they cycle through their abilities, obviously they drop quite low in HP and then life still put themselves back up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of feed when you do it right and your units aren't dying because you're balancing that act, it's a really satisfying feeling as well. So I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, because like, you know, this is feels like about a life. Sometimes you have ups and downs, and you will lose your HP, and you can like heal yourself and steal health from others. And this feels like just like a bounce back to the better situation, and that feeling's good.
Absolutely. Something that I spot actually here on the side of CNC that I love is the unit bagpipes actually being brought in. This is a very, very rare unit in the CBL, but it's a unit that I love to use myself. It can actually be incredibly game-changing with that 1 second of CC immunity when you do pop that ability if you use it at just the right time. And when we think about like the top tier players, CNC does come to mind, so we'll see if that does get utilized here.
Yeah, so now the second game's on. BPJT this time, those teams are gonna switch sides. BPJT will be the defensive side, and CNC gonna be the BPJT gonna be the attacking side, but CNC gonna be the defensive side. So yeah.
And we'll have to see if they opt into the heavy artillery play the CNC did on the attack side, as that did work out quite favorably for them. A lot of the artillery that was up on that wall did get eliminated by the side of CNC, and we'll have to wait and see if BPJT are able to do the same.
So now the second game's on. Yeah, the red side, the attacker, BPJT, he's pushing their siege towers, and some of them trying to climb up to the walls and try to find a really good opportunity to start attacking here.
See here, a few of the members of BBJT actually are getting ready to kind of probe the walls here. They're going to look to climb up, see what's hiding behind those pillars, obviously. As you can see on the side of CNC, as well as BBJT when they're on the defender side, hide a lot of their units in these little alcoves you have on this map.
Yeah, I kind of very love to say, like at the beginning of the game, players trying to climb up through those ladders, and you see that when they saw the enemies, they just like climb down and run away, and just again. The feeling is kind of good. You are just like play with your enemies, and you are trolling with them.
Yeah, not only that, but there's even a practical use behind it, right? Every single time that somebody's kicking down a ladder, that person isn't using artillery to shoot your towers. So being able to be proactive on those ladders, make sure that you're having a little bit of a threat every time, is a really relevant strategy. As we see the first siege tower being allowed to go up, not a single artillery shell being wasted. It's really good play from CNC when they opt into letting one mount to make sure they haven't wasted any of their artillery at all trying to shoot them.
Yeah. And also the same as CNC did before, the BPJT, they set several mortars in front of those walls and hitting the enemies on the wall. And also those artilleries, that will be make a very good chance for them to land on the wall.
Yep. And you can see here something that is a little bit dangerous on the side of CNC is they have placed, or rather pre-placed, a lot of their artillery here. If they're able to have somebody on the side of BBJT sneak in the same way that Hammer and Longsword did, they would be able to knock out a lot of these artilleries. You can see 6 of them set up here on the back, already defending from the siege towers. You essentially only have 2 people needing to shoot these artillery, which means you have 13 members up on those walls contesting any kind of fight that's going to be coming forward.
Yep. Okay, now seems like only one siege successfully pushed, and 2 of them, and I mean like the left one gonna be fallen very soon, because it's kind of like no health there.
Yeah, that's it. Being strategically left up here, you can see the Pike is about to execute it now as he's just sitting there waiting for it to get close enough. Make sure he gets the maximum amount of time out of that siege tower respawn. Yeah.
So I mean like for attackers, just like playing a game, you are just not competing with the defenders, you're also competing with time. And for defenders, it's very good for them, like to waste your enemy's time. And this is make a chance for you, for themselves to win the game. And for attackers, they have to, it's the beginning of the game, it feels like doing some math problems, like you need to figure out the best way to get into the city and to hit on the enemies and get approach to the point you want to take, and you have a lot of issues need to be solved. So that is a really interesting watch actually. Some teams did a really good job at the beginning of the game, pushing those things really effectively and get approach to the enemies.
Yeah, you can see it's usually the mark of a really well-rehearsed team, not only if they're able to make the siege tower pushes happen, but also how they defend the siege towers coming into these walls. A lot of the times we see out of most of the teams that either one of the siege towers will mount accidentally, not on purpose, or they won't really be able to get the kind of same execution we see here where they let one mount without taking a single shell the entire time.
Yeah, for this game, CNC did a quite good job on defending siege towers, and I believe like the second round on will be like no more siege towers gonna be made.
Yeah, absolutely not. You see, once again, this pike here at the back right has done a fantastic job of staggering the siege towers. The next one falls when it's just about to touch that wall again. He's doing a really, really good job of actually making sure that BBJT aren't going to have access to that tower for quite a long time to come.
Yeah. The point A is super important because like you don't need to like yeah. For now, we can see the score on the screen. Actually, it's a 1-1, not a 0-1. Because like a sensei is from the I'll tell the director is kind of wrong.
Make sure we get the corrected. And something that I love to see on this map as well is the evolution of the map over the years has changed quite a few times. There's been a lot of little implementations to improve the flow of the map. My favorite one personally being this A side is now destructible. For any of our veteran players or maybe even players that haven't touched the game in a while, if you remember correctly, that was actually like not able to be destroyed at all, which meant that you usually used to see almost 15 units being deployed in that tiny little space there because it was completely safe from most trebs or most mortars. As we see a massive push coming through here from BBJT coming through that lower area.
Yeah, so this time, just like the BPJT, they just won't wait for the siege tower got pushed. They will just directly through the main gate and get to the game, to the city. So okay, now yeah, the match point, the score for this match is 1-1, not 0-1. Yeah, we have revised that. Then now this is correct version. So yeah, don't be confused with that. It's 1-1. That now is correct.
This is some fantastic play we see out of the side of BBJT. Not only did they manage to step on that supply and stop a lot of the units coming through as reinforcements, we saw one of their units, the Axe Raiders, being snuck around the side when CNC wasn't looking, and they found those really important unit of Shenji for free, essentially. They managed to sneak their way back there, eliminate the carry unit. You can see now they're basically going to capture the A point for free. Now that they're not actually able to resupply, they've done what CNC failed to do in their first attack.
Yeah, very good strategy and a lot of details there. Oh, they're so good, this team, the BPJT. They are doing quite a good job in this match. Okay, I believe now after taking over the A point, and they have greater chance to take over the supply point. This is gonna be a huge step for them to taking over the rest of those points.
Yeah, and as we see here, there's actually quite a numerical advantage now on the side of the BBJT forces. They're about 40 units ahead when it comes to those tier 5 units, and almost 100 total ahead on that 4-star unit. It was a fantastic fight for them there as they fought it pretty much perfectly. They got in quickly, fast enough that CNC weren't able to react. They snuck their units behind to eliminate the carry units that were the actual threat there. And then they stepped on that supply, making sure that there was no recovery phase for CNC to go through. CNC is now looking to defend this final point, conceding the B point, just setting up for this home base.
Yeah, and also the supply point. The next will be is get closer to the final base. Yeah, now all CNC players kind of in the city of the city, like in the internal city. But for this map, the final base is actually I believe like it's kind of difficult to attack because like so many walls there, and for the defenders can set up a lot of like artillery on the wall to defend the attackers there, and for attackers they just need to find a really good timing to wave in, or they're gonna be killed by the attacker, those long range units, and also the artillery on the wall.
A really smart play here, once again from BBJT. They're looking fantastic on this map as they opt into taking this high ground at the back left-hand side of the map. What that's going to allow them to do is utilize all those artillery pieces. They currently have 17 to the side of only 1 on the defenders for CNC. And they're going to be able to essentially shell CNC into oblivion from this position. It's a fantastic spot for your mortars to go up. We're going to see some grape shots probably coming up on the edges as well, as they realize that CNC don't have any of their own artillery. The ballistas are able to be set up for free, blinking down at its home base. It's going to be incredibly hard for CNC to defend.
Yes, and also the BPJT the team is super smart, because like normally we will just like try to get to the final base in the daily matchmaking. Well, we try to get close to the final base through those gates, but they decided to take over the walls first, so they can overlook the whole point and they can set up some artilleries, like just like to attack the defenders without hurting themselves.
And as you can see, the saving grace for the side of CNC is all these shot blockers you're going to have. There's buildings and scaffolding, and even those miniature little walls set up there on the home base that's going to be able to shield them from a little bit of artillery fire. But they really do need to take fights really close to these walls that BBJT are coming down from now to protect them now. The fight's in the open.
Yeah, the very smart move, very smart move. And get close to the point, so effective, and also like they just like didn't like sacrifice so many units to make that, and that is a huge progress for them. And they now are totally waving to the final base. Not so many defenders there. They totally kind of swept out all of the defenders on the map. They're controlling the situation here. This is super impressive.
Yeah, making CNC look disorganized is no easy feat, as they're kind of crushing them here on this final base. We saw a lot of really good mechanical play coming out of the heroes, especially the heavies on the side of BBJT, making sure that a lot of the charges of CNC to try to hold this up were cancelled. We saw both longswords using their ults to push forward, knock down the entirety of the units pushing into them, and they've won incredibly handily now in this fight because of it.
Yeah, very super effective. And now since it's still trying to stop the capturing here, because like those heroes, they have no choice. They have to like step in and step out, in and out from the final base. They know that if they just leave or die, the point will be BBJT's.
So it's a desperate last attempt being made here.
Yeah, BBJT now is using all of the units to block the way from coming in. And the Sensei just find like it's so difficult to get brought to the point again. Okay, now the congratulations to BBJT again, and they won the very second game of for the grand finals. Let's see, the MVP from BBJT is Zhixing, and they like he got like a no kill, no death, but like interestingly he got 10 assists and he killed 98 troops in the game. And also his teammates, most of them just like, most of them just die once and got a lot of kills, a lot of assists. And that is super amazing. It just like means they played a super good game here.
Yeah, really insanely well played on the side of BBJT. Yeah, we saw a lot of good team play with them pushing together as 15 for most of the time. And they were able to win a lot of these tough hero versus hero fights as well when it came down to the isolation. Just really outmaneuvering CNC when it comes to this map.
Yeah, so the MVP from CNC is 快乐的鱼. I think I just cannot seems like cannot say the full name. Yeah, and they got 0 kill, 2 deaths, and 1 assist, and they killed 96 troops in the game.
Yeah, and he's done really well for himself, obviously. It's being the only one in this entire team to actually pull above that 700 threshold that we all start with. So him being able to pull out that kind of performance is a really, really hard feat when you're on the losing side, especially when you're on something like a longbow that isn't known for doing a lot of damage to those high-tier units, especially when we see a lot of shields being brought.
Yeah.
So really well played from him.
Yeah. Yeah, so this game is actually it's really rare to see that CNC lost 2 games in a row. That is very, very rare to see. Normally we just like they can like win a game pretty easy, but BBJT just proved that you people are wrong and we are very strong team. I think all the comments like people are totally impressed by the BBJT's performance, and we are very happy to say that's kind of a good performance from the BBJT.
Yeah, absolutely. Really kind of pulling off an upset right now, as I feel like a lot of teams, when they see people going up against CNC, automatically count them out. The BBJT, like you said, are reminding us that they belong here in this final.
Yeah. So, but this is not the good thing is like this map tonight. This round is not like a best of 5 or best of 3. We can watch like 6 games tonight. So we still have like potentially we still have like 4 more games, and we can still see the good performance from BBJT, and also let's say if CNC can bounce back to fight for their 7th title. So now the point score is a 1-2, and we'll like take a 10 minutes break, and we'll come back later and to see the ban pick from both sides and prepare for the rest of the game. So see you guys in 10 minutes. See you guys.
See you soon.
Okay, yeah, okay. Now we are officially back. Yeah. So yeah, guys. So the third game is about to start, but actually the point is like 2-1, because like for this is the final, we have a best of 7 and the Sensei from the upper bracket. So they were leading like 1 point earlier in the game. So yeah, BPJT actually they won all games tonight. So yeah, for the next stage, we're gonna jump into the map ban pick to say their choice for the up-and-coming game. And the BPJT, yeah, just like we have watched those games, and the BPJT seems like they're in a really good they're in their zone and in a pretty good status for themselves, and they have so confident about winning the game. And for Sensei, now the challenge actually it comes. If they lost the game, BPJT will have the match point. And this gonna be a huge thing for them and a huge thing for Sensei, because like they have won 6 times champion in a row, so consecutively. So they must want to know want to win their 7th game.
So you can tell the hunger from them wanting to continue that series is obviously they're trying to pull out their second best map here. BBJT, on the side of them, they've obviously identified that Kuruk Castle was going to get banned. I'm sure that they saw that coming after their huge performance there. So they've opted into banning Harbour City this time, taking away the best map of CNC, and locking in Huling for themselves, which is a really hated map on the side of CNC. CNC has talked a lot about their distaste for this map. The fact that it feels like it is very random who can win or lose. It doesn't feel as structured as the other maps do. So that plays into the hand of BBGT. And on the side of CNC, they've obviously locked in their second best map, which is known as Hidden City. They've taken apart a lot of different teams there. A lot of really good teams have crumbled under the pressure they're able to put onto that map as well. So a really good matchup between the two teams here on their pick and ban phase for those maps.
Yeah, I can feel the the adrenaline rush from the BPJT. It must be so exciting to have the upcoming game, because like they are leading the game, like win 2 games consecutively, and facing against Sensei, it must be super exciting for them.
Yeah, not only winning 2 games, the first game was very, very close. The second game was quite a big stomp in favor of BBJT. They absolutely decimated CNC on that map, taking them apart pretty handily. There wasn't actually a lot of resistance when it came down to it, so fantastic job from them there. That's got to be fantastic for their morale, knowing that not only have they won 2 in a row, they had a dominant victory, and they're continuing this streak on to try to get to that match point against what was conceived as being the top seed for this.
Yeah. So just like you mentioned, the first game super close, and the second game BPJT kind of outplayed CNC. So yeah, that's. And for the map ban pick for this phase, for the phase 2, and actually Sensei they banned the Kuruk Castle. Yeah, the map they lost like 2 times, and they picked the Hidden City as their choice, and the BPJT banned Harbour City. Yeah, that is no surprise, because like Harbour City, Sensei is super good at that map, and they picked the Halong Fjord as their choice, and also for the units. Sensei they banned the Chevaliers, Mamelos, and also the Winged Hussars, and BPJT they banned the Stalwarts and also the Zicalian Militia, and also the Dagger Axe Lancers. So yeah, that is basically all their choices for the units and also the map ban pick phase.
Yeah, it feels like a lot more of these bans have actually come through for the side of that Huling matchup. A lot of those bans are targeted specifically at units that we see brought through, and not only that, but we see the Siphonaris obviously being allowed by the side of CNC. Guarantees that it's able there for both defenders and attackers, as that is a hugely influential unit on that map. It sounds like we're ready to go on the third game here.
Yeah, seriously, actually, we have watched their game that they play on the Hidden City. And on this map, it's kind of very old map, so they knew this map pretty clear, and pretty much about everything about this map. So I believe that they could have really good performance on this map. But also same for the BPJT. Those are veterans. They must know this map very much and know all the tricks in this map. So it's also a big challenge for Sensei to play, to continue playing, because like they've already behind the score here.
Yeah, and a really important factor here, though, is despite Hidden City being a really older map, we know a lot of the members of BBJT do come from the Chinese mainland server, which has little to no experience actually on Hidden City specifically. We saw a lot of their teams actually banning that map almost permanently because of their lack of experience. So, a really quite a smart pick coming through for CNC's side, obviously knowing that a few of their enemies there on that enemy side won't actually be as familiar as they would be with the other maps available. As we load into healing here as well, we can see quite a few carry units coming through here. Not only that, we also see a unit that has popped up a few times that I always love to see, which is the Retariari, the tier 5 Roman Javelin troops that have been a huge clutch for a lot of circumstances here. They don't do as much damage as those gun units in the sustained fire, but they have a lot of bursts available to them. They're very, very quick. And not only that, but they can stand up for themselves in melee for a little bit as well, so a really versatile unit being brought there.
So the second, like the third game is on actually, yeah. And now the game is, yeah, it's pretty fast because like on the map Longfield, and the BPJT gonna will be the attacking side as the red side, and the CNC will be the defender, the blue side. For this map, like we mentioned that this map, no siege towers, no like any further ado. They just like crack the gate and they just come in and have a fight, and the game will be super fast paced.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes down to this map, it really is all about if you can capture this A and B point, usually. After that, it's a lot more of a slow and steady map, but these first 2 points are absolutely crucial. Especially with the defender side, knowing how much artillery they really do want to place to defend this. Can be either a clutch factor of them winning and holding out on these points, or it can be a huge cost to them later on in the fight when they're running low.
Yeah, and now we can see from the screen, the BPJT, they separate their team into like several squads, and some aiming at the point B, some are aiming at the point A. So, and also at the same time, they cracked the walls here. So they actually have a lot of choices for now, and also can just like make a great trouble to CNC.
Yeah, and a cheeky little spot of CNC coming out here. You can see those Falconetti gunners, or the Martellatore as they're also known, hiding down on those docks in the middle of the map. Being there is guiding them. Essentially, these shots are going to come straight over the top of those defensive placements, straight into the front line of the A point, and it's going to guard them from the trebuchets or mortars that are available for the side of BBJT, as we see BBJT now opting to a very fast-paced push on this A point.
Yeah. So yeah, now the attackers are already inside of the city, and they're using some the Navarre guards to burn down all of the units here. They just totally wave into the point to the A point, and they're very close to sweep out all of the defenders there. Let's see how the CNC will deal with that, because like now BPJT already starts taking over the point A, and very quickly. And they already like take the half percent of the point. So CNC is trying their best to defeat those enemies here.
While it does look pretty drastic initially, you'll actually seem to find that CNC actually have the far better position here. They used a lot of that well-placed artillery sitting up there on top of the guard tower. They guarded that, and now that you see how much damage those grape shots really do when firing above. Not only that, but they also had the Flamers and the Falconetti, which have both now been eliminated, I believe. So really good sniping there from BBJT. They might have lost the first wave push. They eliminated 2 of those really important carry units for a trade.
Yeah, and also for this map, I mean like all points are just like pretty open for champs. So it also brought a great trouble to defenders who defend those points, because like they have to face those champs like directly. You just find nowhere to hide. That will be super difficult to do that. And the first wave attack, just like you mentioned, the BBJ did quite well and make a really good progress there. And so here comes the second wave attack with Materitos, and they're just like shooting at the enemy inside the point A.
They have been shooting for quite a while, so you got to wonder how low their ammunition is now getting, unfortunately. as it seems like they might run out when they actually need it here. You can see on the side of CNC they're going to have staggered reinforcements coming in here, as well as just trying to buy time for the Shenji in the back line to be firing and throwing the bombs into disruptors.
Yeah, since here comes more squad of the cavalries try to charge down those units, but Mordau is super good at that. They defeating all of the cavalries and strongly hold the point A. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, not only that, but fantastic play from that longsword player there. That was the same longsword play that we saw in Kurek disrupting the cav charge, and he's done it again to Northern Lines, which are a scary unit to interrupt. He made sure that he pinned them down for those Madao to essentially clean up for free. As now the Falconetti are actually out of ammunition, the Martellatore going back to resupply, as it is really, really bad timing on the side of BBJT. The rest of their team's getting mopped up just because of that ammunition being placed, firing at an empty point earlier.
Yeah, so yeah, now we can see the second wave attack, they failed. So yeah, they just like get back to the supply point, they regroup themselves together and preparing for the next wave attack. Since it actually is doing quite well at defending those the attackers for the first and the second wave attack, they still hold the point A and they're leading the unit number in the game. It's quite good so far. But for BPJT, they still have great chance to take over that point because now the gap is not that big, so they still have a greater chance to take over that point.
And really smart play coming in from BBJT. Again, they've identified that they're down on that unit count quite substantially when it comes to especially the tier 3 units. We saw a lot more of them coming through for the side of CNC, with those cost-efficient halberds being hugely valuable. So BBJT have identified that threat, and they're using a lot of their own artillery now, making sure they're going to win this point.
Yeah, they just try their best to take over that point.
A really cheeky cav here coming around from the side of CNC, coming from this back point. And they're going to find not a whole lot of resistance here, only really heroes to stop them. We're going to have to see if this is enough.
Okay, now the team fight is pretty chaotic because the PPJT, all of them players are actually inside of the A point, but totally besieged by the defenders. Yeah, just like you mentioned, BPJT, they set up a lot of artillery, so they determined to take over that point. So for them, just yeah, they have paid so many things on this point, and the time is totally not good for them. So they have to take over the point as soon as possible.
And unfortunately for BPJT, they stopped firing that artillery, and what that allowed is the side of CNC was actually smart. A few of their heroes snuck around the side, opted into not taking the head-on fights, and they started using those grape shots that BBJT placed for their own good.
Yeah. It seems like the BPJT, yes, for this wave attack, they still failed. But the time is less than 1 minute, since they will be all out to kill all of the attackers here, because they know they have greater chance to defend their point.
It's going to be really difficult for them here, as obviously you see they're quite heavily down on those unit counting, especially when it comes to those important units. They've only really got the whites left, so it's going to come down to hero fights here and the last 10 remaining artillery if they're actually able to pull this off.
Yeah, 20 seconds, that is not quite enough to kill all of the enemies here. So I think Sensei for this game, they'll be the winner and can make the score 2-2. So yeah, very good game for CNC here actually.
Yeah, really well done for CNC to recover. Essentially, the reason why they lost that Kuruk fight was they weren't able to keep up with the pressure that BBJT brought with that 15-man push. But on that map, it seems like they actually did recapture the pressure. They made sure they had artillery and also carry units firing in from every angle. And they shut down what was a pretty bad first initial fight and turned it into their favor and snowballed the rest of the game from there. So really well played from them.
Yeah. And the MVP from BBJT is Le Huo. He got 2 kills, 2 deaths, 8 assists, and killed 100 random troops in the game. And he killed 28 cavalries in the game. It's kind of like the cavalry's killer here.
Yeah, that's it. You can tell that he's a bit of a pike player himself when it comes down to that many cavalry being wiped. Obviously a really important job, as we saw quite a few of those CNC cav flanks were shut down, only one of them really making it through at the end there. So really well done from the side of BBJT. That's something they can be proud of in that match, as they were able to shut down a lot of the cav, keep a more controlled center. Just obviously the artillery placement from CNC punished them for it, though.
Yep, correct. And also the MVP from CNC is Qin White, got 4 kills, 0 deaths, 12 assists, and killed 93 troops in the game. And this game is more like the normal CNC game. They just like dominated the game and perfectly countered their opponents and play a very good game here. So I think CNC, yeah, after like a 2-game loss, there will be like, yeah, it's time to bounce back. It's time to win back and time to chase our point. So yeah, so very happy to say now the game is tied again, 2-2.
Yeah, that's it. And with that performance, you can see there from the side of CNC, it was a pretty stellar team performance all around, as the top 4 members just about had either 1,000 or close to 1,000 points destroyed there on the side of the leadership. So huge amounts of team play happening there to enable all 4 of those players to perform really, really well.
Yeah, for BPJT, yeah, the thing is not that easy, because like if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. But sometimes, yeah, most times the best, they have some reason why they are the best. So yeah, BPJT, they need to like regroup themselves again and fight for the game, because now the game is tied. People are like all teams at the starting point again. The game is kind of like a restart. Everyone is even. So for BPJT, yeah, next game is super important. I mean, like if they lost the upcoming game, they're just like their mindset and the mentality will be like totally affected, because like they know they have behind the point.
That's it. It seems like that 10-minute break really did work in the favor of CNC. They were able to kind of give themselves the mental reset that they needed for their whole team.
Yeah.
Able to stabilize things and have a good plan going forward.
Yeah, it's super important, the 10 minutes break, like the map ban pick, those things. It's not just about a map ban pick or unit ban pick. It's all about like the ban pick for their heart, like for their inner world, like how they gonna like adjust themselves and prepare for the upcoming game.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after a loss, like BBJT did hand them on that Kuruk castle attack. It's good to be able to step away from the PC, give yourself a bit of fresh air and kind of recalibrate, make sure that everything in your head is right before you get back into the series, as it seems like they've done a stellar job on their first game back.
Yeah, and the BBJT will be like, they have to be pretty cautious, because like the hidden city, the map, since they also pretty good at playing that map. So yeah, this game gonna be pretty difficult to play.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tricky one for the side of BBJT. As I mentioned, this is well regarded as their second best map. It's one of the ones I think is even more threatening than Harbour, because a lot of the time on Harbour you see that that's usually other people's best maps also. So at least they have the confidence of having that. When it comes down to Hidden, a lot of teams are not as well prepared for this map as CNC really is.
Yeah. I mean, like the Heilongfjord, this map is kind of tricky, because like yeah, it's all about for both sides actually making your choices, and the results will be totally different. And so for the previous game, the Sensei did a quite good job about defending those points, and I mean, like they pay close attention to their A point. At the same time, they also like stopped the attackers to capture their B point, and that is a pretty perfect strategy, and they found the balance between the A and the B, and successfully defend all those points, and make the BBJT not that difficult, not that easy to take all of those points, and lost the game. Because like for that game, we mentioned that it's super fast-paced. If you cannot take over the point, and the game will be totally shut down, and very quickly the match. I mean, like the BPJT, and yeah, they should like pick a. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like they are more good at like teamwork and all those things, like just like setting up a different strategy to the enemy. They should find a bigger map to play, and to extend their game time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like the really big instrumental flaw that BBJT had there was they did go for the momentum play. They went for the all-in. and they didn't actually contest that high ground, which is like everybody I feel like knows when they're in these higher grade teams. But if you don't capture that high ground, they're lucky that it was only one grape shot firing into their back, but even only one was able to pull off an enormous amount of damage there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now two teams are pretty ready. All of them are in the room. I think the next game gonna be started very soon.
Waiting for these teams to get ready to load into their match. Something I actually expect to see quite a bit here is the Shenji Grenadiers are obviously open. Now, as the attacker side in particular on this map, it is incredibly important to secure that pick if you can. Having the ability to sit on top of those walls or even on top of the staircase and shell the supplies that are close to the walls with those Shenji Grenadiers can do an insane amount of damage if they're stacked up, which often teams do. So that is a really important unit to make it through. But not only that, but also the Flamer pick that we talked about for healing is also no slouch on this map whatsoever as well. When it comes to that final point, having a Flamer unit available either defenders or attacker side, it can really actually be a game-changing experience when you're able to get off a big flame curtain into the enemy side. It really does not only do a lot of damage, but that stun applies allows your infantry to win really handily when they push in as well. So two really important units that are carry-sided for the attackers and defended are able and open on this map now. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up in this contest.
Yeah, me too. Just like yeah, it's pretty interesting to say that. And and for the Hidden City, actually, the previous game, like the Sensei, they picked this map and they just found a really good way to take over the point B. Because, like, as we know, that for this map, the point B is pretty important. Because, like, if you take the point B really quick, it means you have a greater chance to take over the final base. And the Sensei in the last game, actually, on this map, they just like step by step and use a pretty good strategy to get approach to the point B and make the enemies just cannot resist their attack. That is super good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very iconic of the playstyle that we see usually coming out of CNC, where they have very slow, very measured approaches, and then once they have that advantage, they're very explosive at pulling the trigger and pushing you out where you want to be.
Okay, let's.
And once again, I see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, you can continue.
I was just going to make another comment. We see once again on the side of CNC, we see Nara bringing back quite my personal favorite unit on this roster right now. Exciting to see that. But not only that, we see a lot of the carry units make it through. We see one unit of Shenji, one unit of Flamers, and one unit of Falconetti on the side of CNC. And mirrored, we see the one unit of the Martellatore or Falconetti, but instead two units of Shenji, opting not to bring in a flamethrower for the side of BBJT, which I can't help feel like is going to make it pretty hard if they make it to that final base for CNC. Being able to not contest that flamer means you need to dive it with your heroes, essentially.
Yeah. So for BPJT, it's yeah, the unit choice is super about like super important about like how they do it like in the early game, and they will have like a lot of advantages when defending the final base here.
Yeah, that's very true. And something else we also saw in the series between BBJT and YOI yesterday is that the BBJT Flamers weren't really able to hit their mark. So maybe they've just identified that maybe that's a little bit of a weakness in their team right now. They don't really have the availability of an experienced player when it comes to that unit, as it is quite tricky to use. So opting into a Shenji to just try to blanket put a nade down on top of the enemy Flamer is a pretty safe option. So it could be essentially just a cover pick there as the second Shenji is taken through.
Yes. So yeah, the game is on. This game is gonna be like the very key game for this round. Like any of those teams won this game, they'll have the match point. So yeah, it's super important game. And since it's like regularly they are pushing their siege towers and get to approach the wall as soon as possible. And I believe like just like as they normally do, they will just like initiate their siege attempts as soon as possible, hitting on the enemies on the wall. Just won't save those things for the later stage for the game, and they will make sure they can like land on the wall as soon as possible.
Yeah, and it is really important for the attacker's side here to get these siege towers up quickly, because of the fact that if you obviously they don't know what units their enemy has brought in their totality, but on our side, obviously we've spectated, we can see that the fact that they don't have that flamer means the quicker you make it to that final base, the quicker the game's going to be. So being able to actually push on through, get all these siege towers up that you can, is incredibly important for the side of CNC.
Yes. And also, it's kind of like the muscle memory, like CNC know what kind of points is good to be setting artilleries or mortars, and like they have already set up like 3 mortars outside of city, keep shooting the enemies on the wall at the same time pushing siege tower. It seems like a middle siege tower it's likely to be destroyed, but let's see if they can make that.
Yeah, very close there actually, as you saw the last shot from the culverin connecting. But you can also see down there on that supply, you do have the unit of Falconetti, which was left open this time. The Martellatore is shooting through, making sure they're doing a lot of damage, while having infinite ammo as well, which is a really valuable asset to have on this map. As we see, they're going to allow this one right-handed siege tower to mount for free, essentially forcing a funnel if CNC has no other options. So great play from them there.
So yes, the right siege towers are about to be made, and CNC will find a way to get in. And all defenders are pretty ready for the upcoming attack. Like they just like assign like several the musket heroes on the wall to overlook the whole map, the outside of what is going on there, and preparing for those attacks here.
Yeah, that's it. A very slow, methodical play so far. No real poking their heads up with the siege towers much. They're not really trying to threaten any kind of ladders. They know their measured approach of what they want to take here. As you can see, there's even a really close mortar here now shelling those Falconetti on the supply, and they've had to be moved out of the way as essentially they've completely shut that off, making sure that this siege tower is going to make it further, hopefully, on the middle side.
Yeah, I believe like this round, the CNC has a greater chance to make those siege towers here. But for now, the two sides, let's say the unit composition like 5 stars, like the CNC is leading on the number of 5-star units, and yeah, for the BPJT they're leading on the 4-star units, so it's kind of a balance here.
Exactly like you mentioned, it is a really balanced fight here so far. So obviously we see the unit compositions are slightly different, but very, very balanced all over.
Yeah.
The thing that does factor in here, though, is that CNC do have a couple of those units that are very, very elite, with being the Cipinaris, being the Falconetti, that are a lot lower on their count. So even though they're down on the unit count technically, it's actually not emblematic of what's actually there for the value of the leadership.
This actually is so far this game, this finals actually is one of the closest finals I've seen for the last several CBLs.
And not only that, but I think this is the first CBL I've ever seen where there's been a huge upset in the first few games. Obviously, a lot of teams and a lot of people would count BBJT out when they're versing a team of the caliber of CNC, but they've proved they're fierce competition for any team in the world right now.
Yeah, after one more siege tower is made, CNC is trying to get in.
Yeah, and you can see here a ton of pressure coming out of these mortars. CNC has identified they really want this siege tower to be their initial pushing location. And they're essentially just baiting out BBJT, but something else that's smart from the side of BBJT is they're keeping those units moving. They're using fast-moving units, like those shield maidens up on top of the wall, so they can essentially kite those mortar shots. Make sure they can't just keep shooting stationary targets.
Yeah, correctly. And also now, finally, yeah, I saw like on the left side, not so many defenders there actually. So if CNC successfully make all most part of them on the wall from this angle, and for now the point A is empty. The BBJT, they made a quite good decision there. They just retreat to their supply point and the B point. So that would be a very good choice because already 2 siege towers there and so many attackers on the wall. No need to sacrifice your units to defend the point.
And a little thing that's of note as well here is you can see the Falconetti on the side of CNC are currently being dove as they were having a huge amount of impact. This pike is getting a lot of value here if he's able to actually shut down a few of those Falconetti, as they only have one of them on the entire field. So it's a really important fight here for BBJT's pike to win, but when he's versing a poleaxe with a choke, it's going to be a difficult fight for him. As he has taken down 4, that's not insignificant at all. Obviously not the result that he was looking for, but taking out 4 of those has taken out 30% of the entire unit's strength, so quite a good win for him on that side as well.
So we can say actually the CNC, the BBJT players or scattered all of the map and for the internal city, they're everywhere preparing for the upcoming attack. And the CNC, yeah, they're just very patient and waiting for the good timing to come in, and now they set more artilleries on the wall, hitting the enemies with the internal city. And for this map, it's just like its name, Hidden City, because it has a lot of buildings. That's why you can hide yourself. So and it's also good for the defenders. They can dodge those tramps attack, and they can just hide from those buildings and to dodge those damage.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this map obviously has a lot of cutouts, a lot of little alcoves you can hide in. That's the reason why you see the very, very specific placements of these mortars on the side of CNC. They're really well rehearsed here, and what they're able to do is they're able to lob those shots really high, get over those buildings, and essentially rain the shells down on them super, super accurately, which isn't something you usually see, as they're kind of squaring off here for this right side supply at the moment.
Yeah, now the team fight is on. We can say the CNC is all of them going down the stairs and try to wave in. The BPJT already prepared for that, so the Navarre guards is burning down everything here. And let's say if CNC can make a room to make a way to get inside to the point.
The most crucial factor here is you see in this middle of this fight, we have a few heroes diving those units. We see a unit of not only the Flamers, but also the Shenji down there. Super important to dive them, get rid of them. The CNC's done a great job of keeping them protected, interwoven in all those halberds. Incredibly hard to deal with.
Yes. Okay, now CNC killed a lot of defenders that get closer to the supply point.
Yep, and really importantly here, we've seen CNC have obviously improved from their first game on Kurak. As you see, that longsword threw away his life just to stall that supply, which has won them that supply really, really handily. You see they're going to get a lot more hero picks here, just due to the fact they weren't able to pull out units to actually support themselves on the side of BBJT. So fantastic play for him. That obviously doesn't show up on the scorecards when you throw away your life for a play like that, but it shows up in the hearts of all your teammates when you pull off a play like that.
Yep.
Interestingly, though, we see BBJT are actually opting into fighting this. Really, really risky for them. Obviously, you can see here it's a very troublable spot. Not only that, but CNC has had enough time to actually pull out a few of those fresh units and more to come soon after. So it almost seems like they might be throwing away their units if they're not able to keep stepping on this supply. It's really, really important for them to make sure that they're keeping up the congestion.
Yeah, but the CNC now is taking point B. At the same time, the defender is still trying to take back their the supply point here. They sacrificed so many units for both sides actually on taking over the supply point. And now at the same time, the CNC back for the B point, and many of them are hiding the buildings behind the B point, and they have already taken over the supply point next to the B.
But a great call here coming out from CNC, identifying that the right side was risky. It was going to essentially be a fight down to the death to see who would actually be able to contest that supply the most. They pulled a lot of their people back, making sure they didn't take too many losses, and they've recaptured this left side supply completely for free as nobody was there. Everybody was contesting the right side supply.
Setting mortars to hit those attackers, and the CNC just like get step by step get closer to the point. They've already assigned several units, several squads of units inside of it, and more and more of them are coming on the way, try to sweep out all defenders here. But defenders just won't give up, and they're more down, and also those the mortars, those artilleries are ready for that for the battle.
Yeah, a pretty risky trap here for CNC, as I think it might actually get quite a bit of friendly fire here. But you can see that this is an incredibly important point for BBJT to fight over. They know that if they get down to that final base, they're going to be facing a hell of a lot of artillery with not a lot of answers. So fighting over this B point really is their best bet, as you see them trying to protect the Shenji in the back.
Okay, yeah, the Shenji Grenadiers did a great contribution to their team.
Absolutely, but it's hard for BBJT to stand up in the face of all these grape shots. You can see at least 5 of them did get placed down, and they're just doing a massive amount of damage. You can see here BBJT are doing a great job yet again of diving them, though. It seems like a lot of the BBJT members are really well rehearsed at diving these important carry units, all the artillery, make sure their team has the space they need. But the threat of that is obviously that we can see here a lot of the BBJT members are on high deaths now. A big warning for them, obviously, coming up as 3 deaths is the limit in the CBL.
Yeah. And the BPJT, like the squad of the Shenji Grenadiers, is still shooting the enemies inside the point. And seems like the heroes already died, and so he just cannot fall back the units. And 1 minute and 20 seconds. Okay, I think CNC took that point. And 4 minutes left, and they need to like speed up to take over that point, the final base. Because for most defenders, they've already died, and now it's totally empty for the final base actually. So CNC will have a greater chance to take over that point. Only one or two squad of units there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Momentum really is on the side of CNC, as we see the only units that are even coming out are the white farmer units that aren't going to be able to hold up to the very, very elite forces coming through from CNC's side.
Okay, now CNC, okay, they are gonna secure that point in a really quick way. No one there blocked the way. Just remind me of their last game on this map. They just kind of did the same thing and used some pike units to block the entrance. And at the same time, their members just like securing those points and make sure they can win the game smoothly.
Yeah, this is kind of, I guess, domination would be the word that you usually see out of CNC on this map. And it's going to be interesting to see how BBJT kind of approaches the next one. Are they going to let Harbour City through, knowing that they're quite a good team on that map themselves, and trading that out for the Hidden City ban this time? That's an option for them.
Yeah. So congratulations to CNC again. We thought like tonight, originally I thought like BPJT were gonna like controlling the whole match or whole series and they're gonna win the game. But since they just bounced back and win 2 games back, and now the score is 3-2, and CNC is leading 1 point in the game. So now let's see the MP from CNC is 你的夏宝 he got 5 kills, 2 deaths, and 10 assists in the game, and killed 125 troops. That is a pretty a lot of units killed, troops killed in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see once again from the top 3 members of all CNC, you can see their leadership kill is absolutely insane, almost reaching that double their own marker point. So huge performances from the team yet again, working together as one cohesive unit here. As we've seen, they've kind of recovered from those first 2 losses, and they pulled it back for the reverse sweep.
Yeah, and the MVP from BPJT is Ta Yun, got 1 kill, 3 deaths, and 7 assists, and killed 92 troops. Actually, in this game, from the KDA, the leaderboard, we can see the BPJT actually this is a pretty difficult game for them because like most of the team members already die like 3 times, and because like we know you just cannot die over 3 times, so you just cannot like respawn again, and most of them they just tried their best to defend those points, and for CNC their side the most of the heroes just die once or something. They're just like totally controlling the game, and that is super good to say. And the CNC performance is super good, and they bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was a game with the carry units here that we saw, with CNC absolutely excelling with theirs. Not only with the Flamers unanswered, but the Falconetti back and forth with those Martellatore shooting back at one another. CNC made out on top in every single exchange. There. Went down to that unit as well. So really well played from their carry players.
Yeah, so the game is pretty intense. So for this series, and CNC is 3-1, leading 1 point, and still we have two more games to play for this series, and the members, those players need to take a 10 minutes break, and so same for us, and we'll be back in 10 minutes as say the rest of the game. This is gonna be the finals for the final. So it's gonna be huge, and CNC now is holding the match point, and the next game is super important for them and also BPJT. So see you guys in 10 minutes, and let's take a 10 minutes break. See you guys later.
See you then.
Yo, welcome back, and yeah, so the game the score is like 3-2, and the Sensei is holding the match point for this series. So the game is gonna be pretty difficult for BPJT now, cause like say for previously they like led to cause they won the first 2 games previously. But then they lost 2 games again to Sensei, and Sensei from the upper bracket, so they are leading 1 point in the game. So the score is like 3-2, and this must be pretty difficult for BPJT because like the feeling, we can feel that like wow, we won like at the at the beginning, but we consecutively lost the 2 games, and that must be hard.
Yeah, that's it. As obviously both teams looks like they're going to be opting into that same matchup they just had. It seems like BBJT are a little bit more confident now they've taken away those 2 carry units, being the Martellatore and the Sifanaras, which is something we talked about. That created a lot of trouble for them on that Hidden City map, and not only that, but also on the healing defense as well for the side of CNC. They had quite a bit of more value coming out of their carry units. So them being neutralized, it seems like BBJT are confident now bringing it to healing again.
Yeah. So for this round, they must be having different choices for unit ban. So it will be like help them to to win the game for BBJT. And let's say the CNC actually they banned the map Kura Castle. Yeah, it's pretty obvious because like they lost 2 games on this map. And BPJT banned Harbor City, and that is also very easy to understand because like CNC pretty good at that map. And the map choice actually the same as last round. It's also Hidden City and the Helon Field.
Yep, and knowing that obviously they have only 1 game to lose essentially here on the side of BBJT, their own match point, it is really important they don't allow Harbour City to come through for CNC's side because that is their best map. You don't want to be handing them that when it comes to them trying to clutch out the victory here. As obviously they're trying to push them onto the second most comfortable. We did see a hell of a performance though on Hidden City from CNC, so it's going to be really up to this fueling battle who's able to win that to try to see if they can take it to that Hidden City and avenge the loss they just had.
Yep. And yeah, I mean like even though like Sensei they could have like they would have a chance to win their 7th title, but people will know that Sensei is not so good at the map Kura Castle. That is kind of a good thing to, yeah, just like we never know before, because like they are not so good at this map.
Yeah, like we said, I actually even kind of guessed the strategy that BBJT were going to use when we saw the bans coming through from CNC. But I actually guessed it for the wrong team. I assumed that CNC would go for the aggressive push on that back supply, but it seemed like they opted into a more traditional fight despite banning a lot of the tools that allow you to get those siege towers up. And then on the side of BBJT, they did an all-in play that worked out really well for them, pushing really heavily into that backside supply and taking out the map. So it seems like CNC have just conceded, hey, listen, it's not our day on that map, so let's ban it out for the rest of the series and take it to the maps that we're more comfortable with. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say the unit composition here for both sides, and okay, now the very first for the game is like the Sensei gonna be the attacker, so attacking side first. So yeah, this also brought a lot of trouble to BPJT because on the map that Sensei picked, and for now BPJT is behind the score here, so it's kind of difficult for BPJT.
Yep, and something that is important to note here is both those 2 carry units that we talked about, the Falconetti or the Martellatore, as well as the Sifonaris or the Flamers both being taken out. You can see here both of those players that traditionally play those units being Naru and, I'm sorry, I can't quite pronounce the other names, but Naru and the other 2 carry players have all switched into those Shenji. Bringing 3 of them along is going to mean they have an outnumbered amount of Shenji in this matchup.
Yep. The Shenzhen Grenadier actually they did quite a lot of contribution to both teams, and it's a very important unit in this map.
Yeah, especially when it comes to shooting down into those supplies, as we mentioned before in the first series. But not only that, a lot of these fights take place in these big chokes where it is these very congested fights, and being able to place a bomb on top of the heads of a lot of those units not only affords a lot of damage, but also a lot of disruption for your team, which is very, very neat when it comes to momentum battles.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this map, because like we have watched so many games about the about like the CNC playing on this map. Like we clearly know their strategy. Like most of the time, their strategy will be attacking on the supply point on the right side first, and then they will try to distract. They will use that point to distract the enemy's attention from the point B and also the supply point, and force them to have a fight and take a chance to take over the B point. Is that gonna be kind of a regular strategy for them on this map?
Yeah, and a really, really big factor here for the BJT side is how much artillery are they going to invest into defending these walls. Obviously, with those Martellatore banned away, they don't have the infinite ammo that they had in the previous matches firing from that supply. So they're going to have to use their artillery more aggressively here on this A defense if they choose to actually try to hold it. We actually have seen a few times teams completely concede the A point and go on to defend the B and final, which has been met with kind of mixed results. It has been really effective in some games, really, really ineffective in others. But it seems like they're just choosing to basically defend it the traditional way, choosing to defend until those siege shells mount and then giving up the A point.
Yep. And we know, like in the last game, that the CNC actually did quite a good job at like conquering the B point, and then like all people, like all players from BPJT, the heroes died back then, and the CNC just like took a ride and directly take over the final base. So for this game and BPJT, I believe they must be like pretty cautious about that. And for the early stage of the game, BPJT actually did quite well. They can like destroy the siege towers for several rounds and make great trouble to CNC.
It does seem like they're kind of opting into letting these siege shells set up, though. As you can see, there's 7 artillery already placed, but they've let 1 guaranteed come up, which is very, very standard. This one on the middle side is also looking a little bit dangerous to get in. As you can see, a Trev now being placed on that culvert and trying to make sure that it actually does make it to the wall.
Yeah, so now both sides are still waiting. One side is the defender side is for just waiting for another round if a siege tower pushing, and they use cavalry, use artilleries to destroy all of them. And for CNC attackers, they just like need to try to find a good way to destroy all artilleries or long range units on the wall to make sure they can land on the wall in a really quick way.
Yeah, and like you mentioned previously as well, we did see in the last match on Hidden City that a big factor was the fact that BBJT just ran out of heroes essentially towards the end of the game. A lot of them did reach that 3-death marker. So it's really important for them to be able to deal with these carry units, the Shenji, when they're going to be making it onto the battlefield without throwing away their heroes to do so. I even commented that they're very, very selfless in the way that they play. They will oftentimes throw away their lives to get rid of that artillery or get rid of that carry unit for the team.
Yeah.
But as much of an important job that is, you need to make sure that you're not giving up too much when it comes to those hero deaths.
Yes. Because like, and also in the last game, I noticed that we were keeping talking about the Shen's Grenadier this unit, and I noticed that in the last game actually on this map, the CNC teams Shen's Grenadier just like always can find a really comfortable spot and to set the units there. Keep shooting the enemies inside the point, and just like BPJT didn't pay great attention to those to this squad of units, and just let them just like a free fire at the point, and that is not a very good signal for them to win the game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. We saw a lot of the times because CNC were able to dictate exactly where the fights were happening because they were able to basically organize the corridors they wanted to fight in. It gave their carry units a lot more freedom to be in positions where they are safe, where they're in these little pockets that they can't really get to. And on the side of BBJT, they were kind of forced to move into positions where they didn't really want to be with their carry units just to make sure they could actually do any damage whatsoever.
Yeah, and for now, 2 siege towers successfully mounted, so CNC must be pretty, just like they are ready to go inside with the Highlanders. I mean, like those the units and waving and have a small fight here, like a very first team fight in this map for this game.
Yeah, you can see here on the left-hand side, they've got 2 of the units of Shenji already out, as well as those bagpipes, which are going to be providing that damage buff. And that's going to cause a hell of a lot of damage when they do eventually collapse on this other side. As you can see, BBGT have quite smartly just decided to give up that one side, try to focus on the siege tower that was climbing. They've wiped out a few units for themselves there, which is good play. And now it's just a game for CNC of seeing if they can catch off those units before they are actually able to retreat down that staircase properly.
Yep. And, now I believe like they have already totally controlled the situation around the point A, and so many units on the walls, and totally overwhelmed the defenders. So defenders decided to retreat from the A point and back to their supply point. And this time most of them they are around the final supply points on the right side. So yeah, basically they just like they have learned the tricks that CNC gonna play in this map. So let's see how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, and as you can see here, a heavy investment on this artillery side. You can see there's already 7 placed. They're feigning up to 10 currently of these mortars that are going to be putting an enormous amount of pressure onto this right side supply. When you see this many artillery, it's almost always the correct call for BBJT to just give up this point. You see, it looks like there's 3 lots of trebuchet rounds coming in every few seconds, because the whole battlefield is just turning black with smoke as CNC's mortars are raining down.
And you can see like on the right side, there's so many artillery set up by CNC here actually. They will just like won't save anything if they just want to make sure that all their steps or every resources should be using for the right purpose and for the really effective goals, and that is super good.
Yeah, not only that, they're able to find their marks really, really well. Not only doing damage to the units that are important, you can see this mortar about to land straight on top of the Shenji. Unfortunately, just missing for him, very, very close to doing a lot of damage to that carry unit. And when there's only 2 of them on the field for BBJT, every single shot is huge value. But they've also shut down any of the defensive artillery here on the side of BBJT. They actually have none on this side now to actually defend from all these mortars up on top of the walls.
Yeah, this is gonna be a pretty difficult situation for BBJT if they can do anything for those mortars and the artillery on the wall, and they just have to take those damages, and the enemies just won't be hurt, and in a pretty safe place, and can keep shooting the enemies.
Now, something I would love to see out of CNC actually here is if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that they've got a little pocket here on the side of BBJT hiding from those mortar shells, hiding from the people that are coming down the stairs. If they're actually able to set up some ballistas aiming straight down to that point, they can actually target heroes really, really easily from that position. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we end up seeing that being placed here by this pike.
Yeah, so now the defenders coming from the 2 directions, they besieged the attacker here in pretty narrow places. But in this map, we don't have any alpha guards here, so yeah, for both sides, they don't need to worry about too much about those fires and those things.
Yeah, but really smart play from CNC here. You can see both those Shenji are standing on top of that staircase, and they had a fantastic player just there with his shield maidens, able to catch the charge of those prefecture pikes that were trying to catch out those important carry units, and he shot them down entirely, which means that CNC are going to be able to, even if they lose this fight, keep those units completely fresh and keep them firing from a position up top where they're going to be able to absolutely do a ton of damage for themselves.
Yeah, Justin's going to always can find a really good spot to shoot. Oh, now they are retreating their Shen's Grenadier. Yeah, you can see the detail here, like for the long-range units, they will always assign 1 or 2 squads of the tanky units before them to protect them, make sure those units won't be killed very quickly.
Yeah, it's always very, very important to keep those units alive when it comes to those carry units, whether it be Flames, Shenji, or the Falconetti, as we see. So being able to actually keep them guarded, keep them fresh, keep them happy and firing the whole time is really, really important and crucial.
Yeah. Sometimes in the game, sometimes you lost the game because of you just cannot protect those carry units. You lost them too quickly. The good teams, they just can make sure those carry units can be safe, can be using in a proper way. So yeah, that is also one of the big reasons they can win the game, and they can also keep winning.
Yep. I can't help but feel like it was a little bit of a mistake from the side of BBJT there, actually, though. As they were chasing the Shenjis up, they could see there was no other units actually ready up on top of those walls, and they could have taken that opportunity to wipe out a lot of this artillery up on top of the walls for CNC. As you can see now, there's at least 5 pieces of artillery still up there, able to be fired and able to do damage. And those would have all been taken off the field if they chased a little bit further, and it was quite safe, because if they are in trouble, they can obviously just jump off with their horse, make their horse take the full damage, and just get back on top of the supply.
And now here comes the second wave of attack from CNC. I sort of like, even though like it seems like it looked like the CNC lost too many troops in the game for that wave of attack, but actually the CNC, the number of units are still quite even, and the CNC always can find a really good way to fight back. Now with their like Modal and also those pike units and the Sense Grenadiers, they come back to the stage, to the fight, and they get closer to the supply point next to the B.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, because he was actually able to keep both those Shenji alive, you can now see all 3 of them are out fighting on top of the staircase. But they're actually not being guarded as a huge flank comes in from the spear play. It's able to clean up all 3 of those units, which is an enormous win for the side of BBJT.
Yeah, and their cavalry is always be used in a pretty effective way and swept out the enemy from the map.
Yeah, and this is really quite a degenerate fight at the moment. There's not a whole lot of structure here, as you see a lot of it is breaking down into just hero versus hero combat. Very chaotic, very scrambly in the center of this V point.
Yeah, and now just like their old strategy in the previous game, they took the B first and then forced the enemy to get out of the supply point next to B, and make sure they can take over the supply point and also the B point. That is pretty effective, and the Imperial Guards are charging forward and charge down those units. And more pike units are here, so let's see if CNC can take the B point in this wave of attack. But it looks like the defender did a quite good job, because like their reinforcements and also backup are coming in time and defeat all of the enemies here. And for now, the B point is still safe for BBJT.
Yeah, the thing about this fight really is the fact that there is still quite a few artillery to be placed. 6 on the side of the attackers and 1 for the side of the defenders. It's just been placed down. That is going to be really instrumental, as these units are incredibly close. And not only that, but a lot of the heroes in the side of CNC are already on the 2-death marker, ready for that 3rd death to get wiped out, essentially. BBJT is able to chase them down. We can see here a cheeky flank coming out from these dagger X's on the right-hand side could be absolutely massive, as there's really no units on the point that can actually stop this at all.
Yeah, now the time is only like 1 minute around.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, the
And massive
battle.
kills from BBJT, but the dagger X's have done a phenomenal amount of damage as well in the backline from CNC. It really could go either way at this point.
Oh, it seems like we just cannot like tell who can win the game now. It's pretty chaotic, and the time is talking, not quite enough for CNC. Actually, they played actually quite a big game for this match, but the defenders seems like always can find a good way to fight back and totally nail down the wave attack.
Yeah, that's it. BBJT found those important carry units this time, and I feel like that really did carry them through this victory. They really did actually catch all 3 Shenji at once with 1 single unit. Trading that amount of value is absolutely enormous. So that really was the difference maker, it feels like. It's being closed out here, and it's all tied up for match point.
Yep. So yeah, we basically can say the BBJT can win this game, and this is gonna be a huge win for them.
Yeah, that's a really important win for them here on a hard map to actually beat CNC on.
Yeah, it's 3-3 again. The game is the match is the game point is tied again. So it's super intense finals for this time CBL. And let's see the MVP first. CNC 你的夏宝 he's the MVP for this match. He got 2 kills, 1 death, 5 assists, and killed 83 troops in the game. Actually, we can say he killed a lot of like long range units, especially for the bow units, and that is pretty good, because like sometimes if you wanna get in, you have to make sure those long range units can be killed and your teammates can be safely get inside.
Yeah, that's it. Especially because these are only blue ranged units, but they do pose a pretty big threat to those Shenji if they're not answered. They are actually
Yeah.
able to do a lot of damage output if they're uninterrupted.
Yeah. So, yeah. And MVP from BPJT is Xiaoka Elk again, and this guy performed pretty well tonight. And he killed 6 heroes, 1 death, and 5 assists, and 98 troops got killed by him this match. And it's they are very crazy KDA. And we can say actually a lot of most of their teammates got a really good team KDA and very good rate. Four of them got S, and most of them got A plus. That is super amazing. I believe like this game, like we mentioned, it's a very important, significant. Actually, it's a significant win for BPJT. It means a lot, because like they were behind the point, and they will lead the point, and now they fall back, and they just proved us they can fight against the CNC, and it's gonna be it's gonna be also a significant loss for CNC, because like this is the map what they're good at, but they lost it to it. Their old chicks just cannot be like effective again. The BPGT really learned something from the last match, and counter their gameplay and fought back. It can bring a lot of confidence to BPGT again. And the next game is interesting. It's gonna be the last game, and it's gonna be the win or go home game for both sides. That is super interesting.
Yeah, that's it. And not to disrespect the game's formula at all, but I got to disagree with that MVP placement. While he did have a fantastic performance, you see the 4th member down on the side of BBJT is the one that eliminated not 1, not 2, but all 3 of those.
Yeah.
Shenji taking out 19 Shenji just by himself, while he didn't get a great KDA when it comes down to his hero himself. The amount of damage that units would have done if it wasn't for him finding that opportunity was absolutely massive. So I feel like he really was the one that turned the tide in his favor for his team.
Yeah, and you know, the upcoming game is on the map Helonfjord. So actually, the BPJT, this is kind of interesting. Like they lost 2 games on the Hidden City and also the Helonfjord, but if they can win back on the Helonfjord, it's kind of those 2 games are just like a fight against their nightmares. They're like internal nightmares. They know the internal demons for themselves. They can win those back. They will be super strong, the teams.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's going to be very, very stressful for both sides here. As BBJT are going to have the advantage on the mental game, though. They've just brought it back to a 3-3 situation on a map where everybody probably would have counted them out. We've said it before, the Hidden City is absolutely one of the strongest maps the CNC has, and it's incredibly rare to ever see them drop a map series on that, let alone on attack, where they oftentimes choke out their enemies, as we saw in their first exchange. So CNC are really going to have to rally back, reassess what they have to do in this final battle on a map that they're not incredibly comfortable on. So a lot of pressure on them here, and on the side of BBJT, obviously the same kind of pressure to take away their first Asian CBL victory.
Yeah. So yeah, for both sides, next game is super tricky, because like for CNC they will be like okay, we won this map before against BPJT, but just like we lost the game again on the map we won before, the Hidden City, and that was the map we were pretty good at, and the Helonfjord they will be not sure about, I believe. Like it's gonna be like affect their mindset and those things. Also, those things are pretty important in the game, because like for both 2 teams, they're pretty close to each other. They need to adjust themselves in the best situation, and they can have like really good performance.
Yeah, like you mentioned as well, with a map that they're as comfortable as Hidden City, you got to feel like they really did feel like they had it in the bag when they got that as their first battle to determine who wins here. But now, like I mentioned, a lot of pressure back on them to see if they can perform on the Hewley map. They obviously beat them once here. The BBJT are a team that have shown that they adapt really well to their bosses. They're able to identify what they did wrong and correct those mistakes. And now it's a battle of if they correct those mistakes well enough for CSA not to be able to punish it.
Yeah, so now 2 teams we are waiting for all members coming to the room to join the match. It will still take several minutes. I think for this kind of period, both sides they will take some several minutes to join the room because they need to take a deep breath. And for Legolas, because we know they're going, he usually will take a shower before the important match. So I believe it needs to take some time.
Yeah, that's it. Legolas is a figure who's usually incredibly calm, incredibly measured in his approach to things.
Yeah.
Very chilled out, some would say. But it's hard to imagine he could be very chill right now or very relaxed when it comes down to the final game between these two teams. BBJT have just clawed back a 3-3 draw for the match point.
Yeah. Have you ever played this kind of intense game before? No matter it's about the CBL or just about your daily matchmaking. Have you ever played this kind of a game before?
Actually, I have to plug my own alliance, right? Ecliptos is the team that I'm from. We had a inter-alliance tournament we hosted one time, which was a non-official CB event, where we hosted a tournament between a bunch of different teams from mostly DI, but we also invited a few people outside of it as well, and we had almost this exact same thing come up where it was down to the tiebreaker game, and it is very intense. It's very intimidating when you're a player in that kind of situation. And it really does usually come down to a few core players playing really well or making really good calls on the fly. So we'll have to see which team is actually able to pull out that kind of performance out of the hat.
Yeah, that must be an unforgettable game for yeah, it's super good.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only is it unforgettable in the moment, but you think about it after and reflect back on it, and it's a great moment. Whether you're on the winning or losing side, those kind of tense situations really do breed champions.
Yeah, for Conqueror's Blade, we are a 15 versus 15 game, so it's not very easy to have 15 friends at the same time in real life, playing in front of a computer playing the same game. But when for the New Year, sometime for the holidays, we'll be back home, and I 1 year ago I had a time with my friends. Many of my friends played one match, and we just shouting out and to the win and to play the game, and back then we had several really big battles, even though we don't have really good skills, really good units, those things, but still we can play as a team and to win that game. That feeling is super exciting and super good.
Yeah, that's it. To tie into the actual game itself, right? That's the reason why I love territories so much. Sorry, territory war so much myself. There's something about conquering a territory, or even defending. I think even more so, defending a really hard defense with all your friends there as well. Really does bond teams together and makes it feel incredibly good when you get to share that experience with people that you care about. Yeah.
So for the normal territory war, do you guys will join the voice channel or something communicate with each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually we have one big call if we're in a big defense ourselves. Usually you see on the big Asian servers like DI, JC, and LA, you see there's quite a bit of competition. So usually you'll see 50 plus people in a battle kind of thing. So when it's that hectic and there's that many people, there's a lot of passion, a lot of heat in these circumstances. But it makes it that much better when you get to celebrate as a team afterwards together.
Yeah. Do you think you enjoy more about being with your family members, or or just claiming those lands? What do you think it will affect you more on the territory war?
I think for me, I love being an underdog myself. So if we're seeing overwhelming odds, a lot more numbers against us, and we're able to pull out a dire victory where we're really kind of fighting for every little inch that we're holding on to, I think that's absolutely the best feeling in my perspective. I know a few of the guys in my alliance feel differently. They love the feeling of conquering, taking over stuff. But I myself love holding my ground, trying to stand up and be brave in the face of what's usually overwhelming odds. That's really, really fun for me.
Yeah, and also sometimes those feeling comes simultaneously, right? And it's also about being your own hero, and also about claiming lands, and also about being with your clans, and those things are simultaneously very important.
Yeah, that's it, and that's something the CB really does do great. It's that it allows you to live that kind of fantasy, whether you want to be a conqueror, whether you want to be a defender of your home. whatever kind of fantasy you opt into, there's a way to do it in that territory war scenario if you really go hunting for it. So really fun options there.
Yeah, you can always find your reason play the game, and that is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding your reasoning and finding your motivation behind playing the game will keep you playing it a lot longer than otherwise. I know that I started off just playing Siege, just having fun with friends. When I started getting into the territory war side of stuff, or even the competitive side of stuff, it kind of gives you purpose beyond the game to keep playing. And not only that, but it kind of fuses bonds with players that I've now known for almost 2 years or 3 years. And even upwards of that I have really good friendships now, just purely based off the fact that I met them in this game.
Yeah, just like watching this kind of really good game is sometimes really be like a kind of emotional. It reminds me a lot of things, like when playing Conquest Blade with my friends or with my clans, and those things is super good. I still remember like the like the last year or something, or 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly. Like the CNC, they were the champion of the Asian servers, and they were fighting against the champion team from the China's mainland servers. And that game is actually, it's more like a friendship game, and all players they are like shouting out to each other and show the really good respect to each other, and they don't really even play that game seriously in a good way, and they just like just enjoy the game and having fun back then. It was really good, and I can always remember that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I think would take a lot of people by surprise if they're not in touch with the competitive side of this game, is that a lot of the top teams could be arrogant with their feats that they're able to pull off, but you'll find that the people like Legolas, the people like Shy, all the kind of leaders that I know that are the leaders of these elite teams are usually very humble, and not only that, but very kind people, very welcoming, and they're really open to welcoming new kind of competition. They're not going to shun you out if you're actually a new competitor.
Yeah, but Legolas, he's really good at doing interviews. Like privately, maybe privately he's pretty humble and pretty nice and very polite to people. But when doing interview, he will always say some he will always say like good things for the headline, like we are going for the champion, and we don't care any other people, and those things is very interesting people.
Yeah, that's it. He's very humble about his feats, but he's not ashamed of what he can do either. He very proudly flaunts how capable his team and he is. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, so the final game's on. Yeah, this is the final match for this finals. So for both sides, this game is super important. It's a win or go home game. 3-3, BPJT, CNC, all of them have their ups and downs in this match, in this series. So this game is super important for them. And for BPJT, they have lost one game on this map, and CNC they have won one game on this map. So in this map, for both sides, all of them have their cheats about this map. So let's see how they're gonna play this map. For this game, BPJT gonna be the attackers, and CNC gonna be the defenders. For now, BPJT already inside of the city, try to approach the A point very quickly.
Yeah, the really important factor here is, are they actually able to capture this high ground? As you see, CNC have already prepared, so they've done a fantastic job of already shutting down this climbing. They're setting up their halberds here. They know that this is an all-in from BPJT. Incredibly quick play from theirs to try and shut out the series right now.
Yep, and also with the Hobbiters, they stopped the coverage here. It's really effective, and they know the BPJT will be coming for this point.
This is really scary for BPJT. This is an incredibly heavy all-in here. And if they are losing the fight on the walls, which it looks like they are going to lose here, you're going to start to see a lot of grape shots shooting them at the back here. So I almost feel like the call should be to just fall back, as massive Shenji grenades from both sides actually shutting down a lot of those pipes.
Yeah.
Really important shot from both sides being able to shut that down.
Yeah.
But there's no other being placed so far, only 5 down from the side of the attackers.
Okay, now here comes the cavalry charge from the CNC, and it's quite effective, actually killed a lot of units here. And the defenders are everywhere and try to block the way. Those guys, like the heroes died and the units gonna fall back, but they try to kill all of those things here. Okay, another wave of cavalry charge. Oh, so many cavalries actually. It's kind of totally overwhelmed the units from BPJT, from CNC, and directly go to the A point. That is good. Very effective charge here.
Yeah, and even more cavalry being spawned on the supply. You can see it back here. As BBJT really are trying to look to overwhelm the enemy team with these Dagrax Lancers. But CNC are starting to get a position set up now. They've still got the artillery a few scattered over. They're setting up a new culverin to try to shut down that mortar that's being placed in the back wall. And this really is a 50-50 battle right now. It could go absolutely either way. Really, really hard to tell as both sides seem to be fighting for this every single inch of this A point.
Yep. And now it seems like the both sides are still testing each other, and the CNC, the BPJT is using the champs, hitting the ground to try to make sure that no more units will come into the A point here.
And an important little factor here, as you can see, now he's stealthed up, but you can see on the side of CNC, they've actually got their dual blade player in this match trying to run diversion, trying to get onto this supply to interrupt. And he's just going to be a nuisance, as we've known him to be in the entire series so far in every single tournament game. You've seen this guy get a lot of impact through not only damage, but just his utility he's actually able to bring into the fight, as he's now stalling 2 full units and a hero back here.
Yeah, and the both team are super good because they just know how to fight back in a proper way. And every time when you when seeing those units okay, I see BBJT gonna win this fight, but since the units were coming on the way, and just make a different results, and again from the BBJT again, and you just cannot tell who is gonna win this game.
Yeah, absolutely not. If you have a look at the unit count, it's very, very even right now. It's slightly edging towards the favor of BBJT, as they do have a lot more artillery still to be placed. You can see here, a unit of Monastics is able to sneak past that. And we're going to see if it's able to do enough here as they're trying to shut down those grape shots that are set up.
Yeah, and successfully the attackers are taking over the A point here. And this is going to be a huge step for this match here, because the two sides are super close to each other. They have lost so many units at the beginning of the game. And it's some really intense team fights there.
And a really dangerous trap coming in here for CNC side. This is going to clean up a lot of those blue halberds. Really important unit there, so it was holding back quite a lot of units from the side of BBJT. As they're kind of rushing in their cavalry from the side of CNC. I don't like that. As you can see here, the Dagraxes that were caught, were absolutely caught by the counter charge there from BBJT. Well done for them being playing patient with their cavalry.
Yep. And for now, we still cannot tell the situation here. 3 minutes. The time is both good for both sides, and both sides still have a lot of units, a lot of high tier units actually, like 4-star units here, and not so many high tier units for 5-star units, and it's gonna be the game flash by flash, and they have to feed with some low tier units, and this game gonna be very exciting. Sorry for that. I'm just kind of exciting for that.
Yeah, I feel adrenaline. I feel very on edge right now. Because and a really important factor here is if you have a look at the hero deaths actually on the side of the attackers, while they're winning on their units, they have 7 heroes on their 1 death left. If CNC are able to actually pick off those heroes, which they have a dual blade for, that can guarantee a few of those picks, they're going to be able to actually shut those players out of the game and even things up.
Yeah, the Mordor against those low tier units, and I mean, this squad of Mordor is kind of one of the last squads of high tier units for BPJT. So they must be pretty cautious about protecting the Mordor, not die too fast, and that will be good.
I can't believe what I'm seeing though. CNC have forgotten about their Shenji over here on the bridge leading to 8 point. That's one of their most important units left, and they're just kind of leaving them in the open. They're getting cleaned up right now by those Fenrir.
Yeah. They're kind of affected by the situation now. They need to adjust them really quickly and find a way to fight back. Because for now, the BPJT is really in a really good situation. They taking A, taking B, and also supply point. The next goal must be the point C.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, the unit count was in favor of BBJT. Before that's only moved further over inside of BBJTs. They now have a 300 unit lead, 310 to be exact. But not only that, but BBJT have really rescued the situation with their hero deaths as well. As 13 members of CNC are one death away from losing this title.
Yes, that's gonna be a huge disadvantage for them. And also, like unit number, you can see the unit count here. It's like 300 troops. It's huge. I mean, like for BPJT, they just need to like step by step and do the right things. They can win the game with a greater chance.
And that's a very, very scary game right now for CNC. They need to play really smart. They need to make sure that they're picking off those heroes. But a huge factor here is they still have 9 artillery on the side of the attackers. That's an insane amount, especially when you factor in there's absolutely no shot we don't see this, but you're going to see a lot of grape shots, you're going to see a lot of ballistas. Identifying how many of the members of CNC are on those 2 death markers. Going for those hero kills is going to be absolutely crucial now for BBJT as they come up this middle point onto the sea.
Yeah, so now the BPJT already entered the point C. Actually, no defenders there, so it's pretty easy to take that point. The teammates are helping them to some cover their teammates and to make sure the enemies won't come in. And they now actually, you can see from the geography things, they totally, because of the terrains here, they totally besiege those CNC players there. And with those low tier units, they're gonna be totally overwhelmed by the BPJT players.
It's actually smart play from CNC to chase that. It's just a matter of if they actually have enough heroes left alive at the end of this to make it count. That was a correct play to chase them down there, try to eliminate a few of those heroes in a flew with those units, even it up. The BBJT have now just knocked out, I think, a couple of heroes from the CNC side.
Yeah, and we can see only 5 heroes and 88 troops that CNC has for now. The game is basically is settled down. Yeah, the BPJT. Yeah, we can say they are the new champion for CBL, and our new champion.
Yeah, what an incredible series coming out of them. Far out. That final game to top it all off was so fast paced. It was so heavy in the entrance. BBJT were on the underhand, but they managed to rescue it back with those huge cav flanks. Not only that, but CNC kind of blundering their cav a little bit, rushing it, while BBJT, in the face of aversion, kept calm and have won this game because of it.
Yeah, let's meet the new champion of CBL, BPJT. They are the winner of this series, the winner of the finals. They are the new champion team. And we also need to like shout out to CNC. They were the older champion, the six-time champion, and performed pretty well and always can give us really good performance in CBL stage. And the MVP from BPJT, Langhua, actually the translated English is Waves. He got 10 kills, 0 deaths, and 15 assists, and killed 139 troops in the game. It's kind of a monster KDA, it's super crazy.
Yeah, not only that, but there's 0 deaths. Like, what a phenomenal performance, especially when it comes
to phenomenal. Yeah, for sure.
Needing to clutch out this game for his team when it comes down to the final straw, he's absolutely pulled through for them. 25 KDA for him on the side of it. 139 units killed, 955 leadership damage. Just an incredible performance from him. When the team really needed him to pull through, he's done it.
Yeah, and also the CNC MVP is Gufu, like live up to, like translated English. And 4 kills, 3 deaths, and 7 assists, killed 84 troops in the game. I mean, like all those MVP players, I can hear that like in the game they will say, especially for the BBJT Langhua, the MVP for this match. I can hear that he was saying like, I got this, don't worry guys, and that is like the leader and also the hero of the team, and also his teammates, they work together and show us the beauty of teamwork, and everything is so good about this series, about this finals.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I know for a fact that you've just got to be impressed by the performance that BBJT have put on here. Not only were they down a game from the start with them coming in at the lower seed, but a lot of teams counted them out. After talking to a lot of people weren't expecting them to actually win this at all, especially when it came down to them losing the initial games against CNC. They went down 2-1, obviously. But here in the finals, they're able to actually clutch it through. They played a phenomenal series. only dropping a few games here, but bringing it to the 7th game, which I think is the first time in CBL history, which is a great thing of itself.
Yeah, pretty close. I think this is maybe also give a new goal for CNC that they can like fight back for the 7 times champion and can set a new goals for as their new motivation in CBL stage. And the BPJD is a phenomenal team, and both of teams they just like presented ours like a really amazing and a phenomenal game for a series for us, the finals. It's super good, and the whole process of the finals is both teams have ups and downs, and they fall back, and then they lose, and then fall back again. The whole process, I mean, like it's super exciting and inspiring me a lot. I believe like you guys must be inspired by it a lot. So very, very, very good games, and yeah, totally impressed by BBJT's performance. Because like in the stage, they were coming from the lower bracket. They lost the game before and they fall back, and so many games, and they can always find the right way to fight back, and that is amazing, and that is really inspiring me.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think anybody can take away this victory from BBJT. They played phenomenally. They came back from the underdog position. I don't think a lot of people were seeing them coming at all in this kind of performance, and you really just got to admire the kind of performance they put in.
Yeah, because especially for the later two games, the later 2 games, like the first is on Hidden City, and the another one is on Halonfield. Yeah, and the BPJT they just lost the game on those 2 maps, and then they fall back, and that is so good. Yes, and because like. For being a champion, you know the rules. Like if you want to be the best, you have to beat best. So they clearly they have done that, and they successfully made it. So let's say congratulations to BPJT again, our new champion. And Sensei, we hope you guys can fight back again. You are the legendary team, so you have a lot of chance to fight back. And we'll see you in the next time CBO, and the BPJT will be the champion back then.
That's it. Absolutely looking forward to seeing CNC come back to try to avenge that loss, and BBJT coming back to defend their title as they've earned it this round.
So thank you guys. Thanks for watching this time CBL, and thank you Josh, and also if Dex and Legolas, if you are watching our streams, and thank you to both of you guys, and thanks for helping us. Thanks for coming here with us, streaming the CBL together. You guys are amazing, and thanks for that, man.
Yeah, I know I can speak for Dex. Obviously, he wasn't able to make it tonight, but we both talked extensively about how much fun of an experience this has been, especially when we top it off with what I would say is the most exciting finals I've ever seen coming out of CBL.
Yeah, this is the one of the best exciting finals ever for CBL. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for that, and thank you guys, and that is pretty much everything about this time CBL, and we'll see you in the next time CBL, and let's shout out to CNC, and congratulations to BPJT again. See you guys next time.
See you then.